It's another great day. We're so thankful to have Frank Palangi joining us today. Frank, how are you doing?
Good. How you doing out there?
Good. We had a little bit of technical difficulty. I'm so sorry. We have to do what we can sometimes due to technology difficulty. So
What are you gonna do, right?
that's right.
Oh,
Um, well, listen, thanks again for being with us. I'm really excited to have you on because you portray such a positive message, but more importantly, you're a hard rocker. You're not only a great vocalist, but a fantastic guitar player, and you play a lot of instruments. So we'll get into that. So thanks for being
thanks,
with
man.
us. So let me tell everybody a little bit about yourself. You're from the great state of New York, and you're a hard rocker, independent indie artist, correct?
Yep, yep.
All right, very good. And
Upstate New York, though, because everyone thinks,
upstate.
oh, New York. They think New York City, and I'm like, nope, not New York City.
That's a good point. I lived in New York too, and anytime I told someone I lived in New York, they think New York City. So
Yeah, yeah.
upstate New York.
Yep, upstate New York.
Yeah. Well, you've already made a name for yourself. You're out there touring. You've opened for a lot of big bands and things. I know that's been exciting for you. Just to mention a few bands that you've opened for, like Three Doors Down, Fuel, Trapped, Candlebox, Red Sun Rising, and one of my favorites is Starset.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, you've opened. There's a lot more. I just named off a few that people would recognize. There's others, of course, but that must be exciting to be able to play with guys like that.
It's fun, because it's like they're on, they call it the national level and stuff, and you're like, who am I to be opening for you those guys and stuff, and the opportunity, and I like it because it tests me, it pushes me to do better rather than it's just a regular gig, I can do this and I can do that. This is like, no, I got to be on my game. It's got to be right. A
Well, you're
little
there.
more pressure.
You're very talented and right there with those guys. So that's got to be exciting.
Appreciate
So
it.
let me. Okay, let's get started. I want to ask you a few questions, of course. When
Sure.
you were growing up, how did music influence you, and how did you get started?
Um, I got started at age 13. I'm a big movie fan, right? So I seen the movie The Crow, and in the movie, it's about a dead rock star comes back to life. I thought it was cool, and I was like, "What is that thing that he's playing on that rooftop?" I was like, "What is that?" My mom's like, "It's a guitar." I was like, "I want one of those."
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So
Man,
they're
that's
they're
such
the
a great
ones.
movie.
Oh, it's awesome, awesome movie, and so sad what happened to Brandon Lee. I've watched all of his past films and stuff like that too. He's a good actor, would
Yeah,
be a good actor, and
yeah,
but it's basically my parents that went out. They got the guitar. We got a little 15-watt crate amp, and I started learning movie themes on the guitar, just playing around. It took maybe 6 months of lessons, and I was like, you know what? I want to learn actual songs. I don't want to learn, Mary Had a Little Lamb and just like little finite stuff. I go, I want to learn, songs, real stuff. So I started just learning by ear and picking up a lot. My grandfather was a concert violinist, so I'm not sure if the music side comes from there. Um, that's kind of how I started, and I started with some high school bands, and the guys I used to jam with used to leave their instruments and stuff, at my place. So I'd pick up the bass, I'd pick up the drums a little bit, and some keyboards, and then I just kept going with it. And I was like, this is what I got to do. It kind of it's hard to explain. You just kind of feel it, and it's like, this is it.
yeah, yeah. I got you. Yeah, that's awesome. So once you got started and everything, I've mentioned that you're a great vocalist and phenomenal guitar player, but I noticed through research that you do a lot of other instruments too. So how did that come about? Was that more of you wanting to learn them and have more detail in your production, or how did that come?
Yeah, some of it I was kind of forced to because my band members kind of left or I kicked them out. Like one of them was like told me basically, oh, the last 6 months I've been doing drugs, and I was like, what? So I had to kick him out. So I lost a bass player and I lost a drummer, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna do it myself. I'm gonna record it. I'm gonna do the instruments, the ideas, and see where it goes. Because I realized that you could be your own composer, sort of, and whatever you were thinking in your head, I could get that down exactly the way I wanted it, and be like, okay, this is my sound. These are the songs, this is the lyrics, everything, without all these different opinions coming in and, dude, I can't practice today, and people not taking it serious. And I was like, I'm serious about it. I go, if you don't want to do music or record stuff, then you should find something else, basically,
Yeah.
so that's kind of how it started. I got sick of things. I was like, I'm gonna do it myself and see where it goes.
Yeah, that's quite a credit to you to have that drive to do that, to just make sure
It,
it's up and up.
it's tough because you have all the instruments you have to worry about, not just one. So it's
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah, that's
okay.
awesome. So we were talking about some of the opening bands and all. One question I had in my mind is, when you're playing, like opening for a group or whatever, have you connected with any of those guys or been influenced even more seeing them there uh, while you play?
Um, yeah, a little bit. The kind of how I got my start is I really liked the band Day of Fire, and I
Okay.
went to go see them live, and I was like, I gotta give them a CD or something. I gotta talk to them. So that was one of the bands that he just happened to meet, and he happened to talk with me and take my CD. And then a few days later, I heard back from his producer in Nashville, and that's how it got rolling. And so those guys, like Josh Brown was the singer. I related a lot to him. They gave me the start or the foundation of how all this stuff works, and then um, branching off from there. I tell you, I have a promo video out, and it's true what I say in it. Most of the artists that I've opened up for, I won't name names, but they don't care who is opening. They don't bother to talk to you or anything, even if you kind of approach them and try to talk to them. And there's some that do. So very few I've connected with. Only I don't know what the reason is, but
Yeah.
I just realized they don't really care who's opening, which is sad because I would want to know who's my opener for tonight.
Yeah.
Let's check them out.
See,
Um,
that's the good stuff that people like fans like myself that see you guys. That we don't really see what you deal with. So those
yeah,
type of examples and hearing about them that connected with you and y'all were musicians that are coming together to shoot things off one another and all. I mean, that says a lot about them as a group and you.
yeah. I get a lot of times where it's like, oh, you're opening for somebody. You'll be hanging out backstage and all that with them, and I go, no, honestly, no. I go, we have our sectioned off spot, and we can't go over to where they are. And I almost have to break the rules to go over and introduce myself, which I don't think I should have to,
Yeah,
because but I like to open up for bands that I like, and sometimes the bands that you like and people you look up to, and you meet them, or you try to meet them and you can't meet them. There's all this legal stuff going on, and it's sad because I'm a fan too, but
yeah,
it's really it's not what people expect.
right.
I
Yeah,
would
no,
say.
I see that. And that's why I appreciate some of the things you do, like your video diaries. I found that
Oh
very
yeah,
fascinating because that's some more behind the scenes stuff that
yeah,
us as your fans and all that we don't usually get in on that with artists and musicians like yourself. So, one in particular that I was fascinated with was when you opened for Candlebox. And
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was a last minute thing, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I got it. A fluke thing within a month. They're like, we need a solo guy, acoustic. Do you want to do it? I'm like, what is it? He's like, it's 4 weeks from now. Okay, that sounds good.
What
Those
an
guys were
adrenaline rush.
actually those guys are pretty cool. They came out, met all their fans. I got to meet them. That was a good time. And Three Doors Down was a lot like that too. I had fun with those guys. That was a fun night. They're
Yeah,
cool.
they seem like good guys. I've seen them in concert before, and they seem genuine. So,
Yeah, really good too in concert. I mean, this was a all acoustic show,
oh,
but I was like, this is better than the electric stuff. This is awesome.
yeah.
It's cool.
So I was checking out one of your projects with the song "Diary of Jane."
Yeah, it's a Breaking Benjamin cover.
Yes,
Yep.
of course that's another group, that I like a lot. So how did that project come about?
Local guy Rodney here. He lives in the same town, and he's got a band, and he's like, "We're gonna do a cover song." He goes, "You want to do some backup vocals for it?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." I go, "What's the song?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a Breaking Benjamin song." I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." So, no, it was cool. We got a lot of great feedback from it too. It's definitely I like the version of it too. It's a little different, it's a little more maybe techno-y rock sort of. It's got some of that synth stuff in the background that I like. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really good. I like the way you can take a cover and kind of make it your own, and I feel like all you guys kind of did that with that song. So,
Yeah, yep. The band is Between Now and Forever. They're called.
yeah, sorry, I didn't mention that for now and forever. So, cool. Well, before I ask any more questions, I do want to give you a plug here. Anyone that wants to check out Frank, his website is frankpalangi.com. It's FrankPalangi. He's got several EPs out, like his self-titled Frank Palangi. I Am Ready. You have an acoustic EP, which is pretty cool too,
Yep.
and Set Me Free. And you
Yep.
also have some solo, individual songs out there too that are really cool. So,
Few of them floating around there.
yeah. And one of them in particular leads me into my next question. You redo a cover of Jimi Hendrix, Purple Haze.
Yeah.
Phenomenal song. Great version of that tune. Because I feel
Thanks.
like it really accentuates your vocals and your guitar skills. So, was Jimi Hendrix like an influence of yours, or tell me about that song and how it came together?
Sort of. He was kind of always the musician that's in back of your mind through when you start playing guitar, and then he just never goes away. It's I never really related to his music. I liked his guitar playing, and I tried to learn when I was first playing. I tried to learn some of the riffs and stuff like that, and it's more of I respect who he is as a person, and his playing and what he did, and the Star Spangled Banner. I was like, okay, I've been starting to do that for sports teams now. The national anthem, and it's like I've been getting some comments. They're like, Jimmy, Jimmy, and I was like, I don't know what the connection is there, but it's funny because that version of that cover is I normally outsource the drums and this and that, and I go, you know what? I go, I'm just gonna do a cover, and I'm gonna try to do it here, right on the drum set, and that kind of stuff. So that was a completely in-house song. I still hear like a larger version of that song somewhere, but you might get it someday. I like redoing songs. I don't know what it is. It's like I'll redo a song because it changes. It changes for you. It changes for the listener over time.
Yeah, it reinvents the song, and plus it brings the listeners of those groups over to people like yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So you mentioned the national anthem. I mean, I guess people like myself are drawn to that and mention Jimi Hendrix because the guitar work you have in that is awesome. I mean, it is true rocker,
Thanks.
but the patriotism of the national anthem is awesome anyway. But when you get a musician like yourself that can portray that through music, that's something special, and you did a great job.
It's a lot of pressure doing that. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Because I'm
So
like, because they're like, you're gonna sing it, right? And I go, no, I'm not gonna sing it. I'm gonna play on guitar. I go, if you miss a note, if you miss a word, it's bad. Star Spangled Banner, man, it's bad. So I'm like, there's a lot of pressure walking up there and being like, you have to get every note right, you
yeah,
know?
because it is
But
a lot.
I love it. It's cool. It's a totally different experience than um, like you're on stage and you're ready to sing and play a song. You know, it's different because it's you have the weight of what it is, and you have the veterans there, and you're like, this is really important. It means something to somebody, and it's very positive too. You know, it's I view it as you're giving back to basically the country a little bit. You're honoring the country doing it. So
Yeah,
um,
that's
I
really
like
cool.
it. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one song I want to talk about. I know it's a little older, but "Driving These Lines,"
Yeah.
that song rocks. So
It's got a
I
lot of
just
energy to it. Yeah.
yeah, it really does. I mean, the music especially. I'm a music guy, so I tend to key on the music a lot more than vocals, even though I enjoy vocals, of course. So,
Uh-huh.
can you give me a little background about that song or anything?
Um, it was. I remember I had written it. This we had gone to Nashville twice for the EP, so there was two sessions. It was in the second session we did that, and I was kind of doing like songwriting sessions with Josh and stuff, and he goes, I wasn't gonna do the song. I go, I thought it was kind of quirky, and I go, I don't know, it's not really like what I'd really do. And he goes, you got to do it. He goes, it's and I forgot what he said. He's like, you just got to do it or something like that. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it. But it's about the ups and downs of the industry because 1 minute it happened to him. 1 minute you're on top, and the next minute you're all the way at the bottom, and they don't know who you are. They forget your name. It's like you've never even existed. So I was drawing a little bit from his experiences with his two bands and kind of my experience of just getting thrown into this stuff and having to think about it. But I knew I wanted it to be a faster, more energetic song than like I'm Waiting. There was It's Alright, I think on the record. Love. Those were rock songs, but not real fast, kind of, energetic. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's good stuff, definitely. So, one thing I'm curious about, you hear this from artists and all. Do you have any pre-show rituals, things you do before a show?
um, I don't know. People ask me that all the time. I go, not really. I drink a lot of water just throughout the day. Um, Anything that'll kind of coat over your appetite so you're not starving while you play.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you eat before, man, oh, that it ruins everything. So kind of have to starve and eat after. I do a little bit of warm ups. I'll warm up just with some basic songs or just kind of some really goofy kind of stuff. But um, not much. I just kind of do it. Just kind of go out there,
Yeah,
get ready to go.
I hear you. That sounds good. This is going to be a little bit tougher question because listening to your music is more unique. You know, it's not like I'm not going to mention any new band names, but some of them sound just like another band, and you are not one of those bands. You're you're truly unique. You know who you are, and you know your music. But if you had to describe your music to our listeners who haven't heard you before, who could you somewhat compare yourself to?
I don't know. I mean, I've this is what other people say. You got Skillet, you have Creed, Breaking Benjamin. I personally say Day of Fire just because I worked with them and it was their music is was really influenced me. And my number one is Metallica.
Yeah,
If you listen to everything that I do, the root of it is Metallica. The raw rock, Even down to some of the grit in my voice and some of the way he ends his phrases and stuff vocally. Definitely the guitar work. Um, in a modern rock way, it's weird because you don't want to redo the Metallica sound, but some of those, the odd one. I'm trying to think of the odd one. I like Johnny Cash a lot, and I think that's the one they're like, really, Johnny Cash. But yeah, him too, definitely.
Yeah, I'm fans of all those groups. Metallica is, like you said, they're just awesome and phenomenal.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just. Well, I looked up to their way of his energy, live, his frontman presence. I looked up to the way the records were recorded. They're recorded kind of really weird compared to regular standards, and that's just like the producer and the mixing guy, like the sound end of me, where I'm like really interested in like how did they record that,
yeah. Well,
It's
that's another thing I respect about your music is when you're on stage performing, you're more active. You're not just someone up there behind the microphone. You're really trying to
uh,
give that energy back.
yeah.
So that's
Well, that's
really
why
cool.
that's why you do a show,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
definitely.
So let me ask you this. I just saw on the news, I think it was last week, about Scott Stapp. He just signed with Napalm Records. So,
uh
going back to Creed, I know you had some influences with them, and I've always liked them. I like Skillet and all them too. Um, Scott Stapp, though, he went through a time in his life where he went through some adversities and all that, and you see him coming out of that, getting back into the music scene and all that. So, is there anything that you would recommend or give some encouraging words to people going through those adversities as a musician or in life in general?
Yeah, I mean, I think with anything, I just say you have to find the positive out of the negative. Even if something bad happens to you, if you're aware of how to get out, whatever you're doing in a positive way, especially if you have, whether it's friends or family, sometimes you really have to draw to them and break down and be like, this is what's going on. I need your help, and if you don't have the inner strength to do it, I really think you have to find something in your life to draw that from, to find it. It's in you. It's in you to get better, to grow. Um, I don't really know how else to explain it.
Yeah, that makes sense. We like to ask that because we've mentioned in previous talks that we raise awareness for Lyme disease and things like that. So you know, that's the other side of what we do, and hearing from people like you that have become successful and things like that, it's just good to hear those encouraging words, especially with you being such a positive person.
It's because I have no plan B. That's kind of my thing I keep in my head that keeps me going. And I would say for that stuff, it's don't give up. You just gotta keep going.
Yeah,
The
that
key.
was one of my questions too. The no plan B, I've seen that. That's like your motto, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little bit more about that.
Um. So I came out of high school. I had a few odd jobs. I was working at a YMCA, and I go, you know what? I think I'm gonna quit my job, quit everything, and just do music. And they looked at me really weird, and I go, yeah, I feel like I have no plan B. And all of a sudden, the original quote was, I have no plan B in backing down on my dreams. And for some reason, that just has stuck for the past 15 years or so.
Yeah.
And it hasn't gone away. But I tell you the look, because I was just like, yeah, I'm thinking about, I'm going to quit. I'm thinking about quitting. They're like, what? Music. They're like, quitting. Oh, good luck to you. Thought I was nuts.
That's
Like, well,
awesome. Sometimes you have to go for your dream, right?
yeah, I mean, I was making my second solo demo, and I go, I have to finish it, and I go, I think I'm gonna finish it. So
Yeah.
see you later.
Well, that's a good way to kind of wrap this up. I want to make sure that people know again your website is frankpalangi.com. We're going to be posting the links to, you're on just about every social media platform, which is great.
Yeah, you have to be nowadays. Got to do everything.
Absolutely. But, again, I downloaded your music through iTunes. That's pretty easy, but you're on many different things. But I definitely recommend people going to your website because 2019 is going to be a big year for you, right? Anything, do you have any tours coming up or anything special?
Yeah, I'm working on a new EP, and I might release a new cover song before it. It's been taking a little bit of a process because I've been so busy.
Sure.
So I figured, all right, cover song, new EP, gigs in between. I give guitar lessons. I'm still recording some local guys. I do tracking work. Sometimes people with any indie filmmakers out there, if you want music, if you want anything. I track bass, I track guitar, I do backup vocals, I do voiceovers, I do acting on the side. So I'm like, okay, I'll get there with this new EP. We've got 2 songs done on it. I have the other 2 floating around, so it will get done. I promise everybody.
Yeah, so new music coming, and I did see on your website you do have some gigs lined up, right?
Yeah. I start in end of March, and I play usually until end of September is kind of like the season up here. To kind of, you do New York, Vermont, Massachusetts. I try to do Connecticut, but there's not a lot of spots really to hit there.
Sure.
So Northeast kind of stuff. And then I'll fill it in with some national gigs, open it up for some people, and everything else just keeps me busy. So.
Yeah, we just had a comment that you should come to Birmingham, Alabama, where we're at.
Yeah. I get a lot of requests for Tennessee, North Carolina, Florida, LA, and I'm just like, someday. It's a lot of money to tour, first of all, and if you don't tour with somebody else, it's all up to you. So it is tough, but that's why I do the online stuff. I'll do interviews, I'll do performances online, here from the studio, videos, anything to kind of be like, I know I'm not in Florida, but this is the second best thing right here,
Yeah, that's awesome. And we so appreciate you being on and all.
Anytime.
Go download frankpalangi.com, his music now. I'm serious, it's good stuff, so check it out. Again,
Thanks,
Frank, we're going to be posting your links and stuff to get you out there, but if there's anything we can do to help you out, just give us a shout, and we'll keep following your career.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, all right?
Yeah,
I'll talk to you guys soon.
With our difficulties, too. So,
it always happens. Technology is like an up and down thing, and it never works.
Yeah, that's right. Well, thanks again, man. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Okay, take care.
Can you break away these chains that hold you down? A skin and bone can't save the pain that's left now. Your own